months ago, Patchy Mix was a 2-1 favorite, came into the UFC in his debut and blew it. At UFC 319, we had a little bit more of the same from Pico. So the question becomes, why do Bellator fighters suck? My name is Angelo, this is Josh Thompson, and welcome to Bad Takes. Josh, you're from an outside the UFC promotion. Did you suck?
I had moments.
That was a great transition.
It really comes down, it styles make matchups. And man, I had some moments in my career where should have done a lot better, what could have done a lot better, and moments where I just couldn't do better. There was moments where I sucked. There was absolutely moments. And then when you have a long career like I did, I fought for 22 years, and just think about, I was signed by the UFC in 2000, early 2001. When they had first taken over, the Fertitas had bought it, got signed by 2001. I was with them till 2004, I think is when it was, 2003, 2004. Man, and then went away and then fought in Pride and then fought in Strike Force and then fought back to the UFC and then Bellator. And then I also fought in Dream in the middle there in Strike Force. Like I've fought in every major promotion around the world, every single one of them, outside of the PFL. I'm trying to think of another one that was around. I haven't fought in Ryzen either, but I've worked shows and worked with them. But yeah, no, look, I know where you're going with this, the whole clickbait thing, and obviously as of lately, but
is it clickbait?
Yeah, it's losing. It's extremely.
They're losing.
You do have a champion from the PFL. You do have RDR from One Championship, who's right now in the top 5 or 6, something along those lines, basically talking about him being kind of the next contender. I wonder, and MVP is going to be now number 9 or somewhere in that mix, 9 or 10 in the rankings. It takes a while to get your footing in a new organization, and jumping from, let's just say, we'll just call it whatever the lower level show, whether it's Bellator, PFL, Ryzen, whatever it is, you're jumping up into a show where everyone considers it to be the biggest show in the world, which it is. And there's no denying that. Take a look at the numbers. The numbers show it. No one's denying that. No one's discrediting what the UFC brings to the table. It's just all the eyeballs, the views. It's a bigger stage. It's hard for these fighters to make it feel like home. You're used to fighting, sure, like Tetsuro Asakura. He's fought in front of 50,000 people. It's still not easy to show up to an event where you're fighting in front of 15 or 20 or 18,000 people. It just doesn't feel like home. So I'm not here to make excuses for the fighters, because at the end of the day, they all have to come out here and win, no matter where the location is, no matter what promotion it's in. You get paid to win fights, and they've come up short. But look, I'm going to go through a couple lists. Patchy Mix coming in, took the fight on short notice. Should have fought a better fight. Didn't fight smart at all. Fought a horrible fight. Okay. I'm looking on the flip side. Let's see how he looks in his next fight. He's fighting that killer, I think, out of was he out of Poland? I don't know. He's out of somewhere.
I didn't even know they matched him up again.
Yeah, they matched him already. The matchup, I've never heard of the guy. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of research on him. But yeah, I haven't seen him fight. I'm gonna have to check and see. He's a new guy. I think he's having his debut.
He's fighting Jacob Wickles, 16-3. Yeah,
15-3. Yeah. So I don't know if he's a grappler. I don't know if he's a striker. I don't know what the scenario is on him and what the situation is.
It's not till UFC 320.
Yep. So, okay, you've got Patchy Mix. Patricio, an older fighter, came in. They stylistically matched him up against someone that just was a horrible matchup. The worst matchup we could have possibly seen. He didn't do himself any favors, though, when he fought Dan Ige. He didn't look fantastic in that fight either. He got the win, but it's good to get that first win, get it out of the way. Maybe we'll see Patricio. He's matched up as well against his killer kickboxer. He looks like a savage. I did some research on him, saw some of his highlight videos. The guy just
from that African promotion, like AFC or something like that.
Doesn't seem to care. Does not care at all. If you hit him, he's going to hit you. He's super fast. Basically, Patricio's worst nightmare at 38, 39 years old, right? A guy who's fast, explosive, stands. Patricio's got power. Maybe he'll get him to respect his power right off the bat. We'll see. Then you got Aaron Pico, who last night, obviously for the first 3.5 minutes, looked great. But the fight's not decided in the first 3.5 minutes unless you're his opponent. And so the fight was decided right there with the spinning back elbow. Look, any of us could have walked into that. So I'm not ready to wrap it all up. But look, you've got fighters. RDR is in the top 10. Kayla Harrison is the champion. MVP is now in the top 9 or 10 at 185 pounds. I want to remind people, let me remind people of how many people came from other organizations. I know I'm missing a ton of them. Okay, I'm just going to simply come out and say the ones that are right there knocking on the door to be champion. Umar Nurmagomedov came from PFL. Let's not forget that. Okay, is he a shitty fighter? Does he suck? Sure, he's not champion, but he's got one loss in his career. He's got. Let's go, dude. Let's go. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? You got him. Now look, I can go all the way back. Cain Velasquez came from Strikeforce. He actually came from Bodog.
I'll debate that with you. Strikeforce doesn't count. They didn't grow anybody. Strikeforce.
What are you talking about?
Okay, yeah, no, you're gonna get all wadded up here. Okay, let me. Okay, hey.
That is what made Strikeforce. Is they were all homegrown. All of them were homegrown.
Only the heavyweights. Only the heavyweights.
Really, Luke Rockhold, homegrown. Tim Kennedy, homegrown. Who else? Tyron Woodley, homegrown. He didn't come from
Robbie Lawler.
Okay, so one guy.
I dated two people.
Jacare didn't come. He came into the UFC from Strikeforce.
I see. You're just throwing out names. I gotta look it up. I'm not prepared to defend myself.
Joel Romero came from Strikeforce.
That guy came from Cuba. He was an Olympic wrestler. You didn't build him. He was an Olympic wrestler.
He came from Strikeforce. Anthony Smith.
And if you want to play this weirdo game too,
Strikeforce.
If you want to put awesome. If you want to play this weirdo game, DC came from King of the Cage then. If we're just going to play that game.
Okay, fine. He came from King of the Cage. He came from a different organization and had a great career.
Strikeforce, Bellator built people from nothing. Strikeforce, wasn't quite from nothing. It wasn't quite from nothing.
If anything, the heavyweight division is where
Nick Diaz from nothing.
They didn't build. Paul Daly came from the UK.
UFC.
No, he did not.
The UFC cut him and then he went to Strikeforce. After the bell punch.
Yeah. You're right.
Okay.
After the cost
to your teammate. To your fucking teammate.
Yes, to my teammate. I thought that was after. I thought that was after they took him. But that's right. He was cut before that whole situation. That's right. I was trying to remember the 2012, 2010 era, that era there with Koscheck. So Paul Daly, Nick Diaz. But just remember, the UFC got rid of Robbie Lawler and Nick Diaz.
Oh, no. Yeah, agreed.
And they thought they were, hey, they're not going to make a run back. We're done with it.
I was a big Strikeforce fan. I'm not saying Strikeforce. I'm just saying it's a different argument because I don't see Strikeforce as building people from nothing. They did an amazing job putting on fun fights. Who the fuck did they build from nothing? Don't name Olympic wrestlers and say they built them from nothing. That doesn't count.
What do you mean it doesn't count? Those guys didn't have any fighting. Literally, DC had like 5 fights when he got 4 fights or 5 fights when he got to Strikeforce. 4 or 5 fights. Cain Velasquez had his very first fight ever in Strikeforce.
Ronda Rousey's didn't they build Ronda Rousey?
The whole female division.
I'll only give them credit for Ronda Rousey. I won't even
talk about females because there would be no females in the UFC if it wasn't for Strikeforce.
I'm only going to give him credit for Rousey, Miesha Tate, and who was the was she Polish? Who was the
Amanda Nunes came from there.
Who was the other chick though? Pretty Mariah. Oh shit.
I don't know.
I shouldn't be asking the guy that got hit in the head 1,000 times. No, she was, Oh, yeah. Woo, not her. Hottest fighter on the planet in the history of time. End of story. That debate is over. No, Marion, some shit. I'll look it up. Know. You keep going.
Marluz Kunin.
Yes.
She's amazing. Julie Kedzie, like all the.
They built the women. Yeah, you're right. All right. Let me.
Women's MMA.
I'm a reasonable human being that can process thoughts in the moment. Mm-hmm. So I will backtrack a little bit. Strikeforce built the women's division.
Start running backwards, son. Running.
I have calves. You see the calves.
Get on your bike.
Strikeforce built the women's division, and Strikeforce scooped up a couple of Olympians. I'm talking more like Bellator.
Luke Rockhold we picked him up off of surfboard in fucking Santa Cruz. That's serious. I'm not joking.
Yeah, but it's different though because
Santa Cruz.
But Strikeforce latched onto AKA and just gobbled up AKA people.
It wasn't just that. We had other guys that came out from Alpha Male. We had obviously Gilbert Melendez. Like what he did was he attached to all the gyms in the Bay Area, and it just so happened that the Bay Area in Northern California produced some damn good fighters at the time. That's exactly what happened. And it was lucky. We got I don't want to say lucky, because at the time, you had Fitch, Koscheck, Swick, all out of AKA. Those guys were on the Ultimate Fighter. Fitch was supposed to be on the Ultimate Fighter. They called him at the airport and said, hey, we're going to let you go. You're not going to be on the show. He had to go back home after that. And then, like 6 months later, he got a fight in the UFC for double the money. Luckily, I mean, that kind of worked out better for him.
But because you're stuck in that. If you go through the Ultimate Fighter, it's like the American Idol contract. You're just stuck in that.
Yeah, it's probably worse than the American Idol contract.
So wait, we've gotten off topic, which you honestly tend to do.
That's okay.
So the question is, why do these outside fighters and just, I'm going to say suck because I'm representing the people. That is the general theme here. Bellator fighters suck. And when they say Bellator, they're talking about outside the UFC. Is it because, my theory is they don't actually suck. My theory is they're really good where they are. They beat the crap out of the people that they fight, but they don't get to fight the same level of person. So you don't quite know where they actually are. They're the best in the little pond, right? The big fish in the little pond, instead of being in the UFC middle of the road. Because as much as people like to say Bellator fighters suck, and going into UFC 319, I fell for the trap. I was all over Aaron Pico. He looked great. And Aaron Pico's a very good, I still stand by the fact that he's a very good fighter. But everybody that was not on that side said, who has he fought? Who has he beaten? All of these people are nobodies. Look what Lerone Murphy's actually done. And I just ignored it, right? I said he beat nobodies, but that's because that's who they gave him, and he did what he was supposed to do to them. Turns out, okay, different level, spinning back elbow. You can call it a fluke. You could call it not.
I'm not calling it a fluke.
And it was agreed. But if you do the reverse, it's not as if these cut UFC fighters are going to these other promotions and cleaning house.
No, they're getting hosed.
So it's like, it's a weird.
They're getting beat worse than the guys coming over.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
you have Anthony Pettis did not look good in the PFL.
Anthony Pettis had a really rough outside of UFC.
Stevens did not look good in the PFL.
Yeah.
I mean, the only guy that actually looked semi-okay was
Shane Burgos.
Shane Burgos.
Yeah.
He was
and the UFC even said we shouldn't have cut him. That was stupid.
Yeah. So look, this argument can go on all day long. Look, I'm not, in no way am I, and I kind of agree with you on the fact that, yeah, once you're cleaning the house in your organization, you come over. You know, it's difficult. It is difficult. There is a rise in competition. You have to fight that person every single time. But there's also, you have to get your footing in these new organizations. When you show up, it becomes like, I use this term like it feels like home, but I use it too much. It really is just, you get to know people. You get to feel like you feel comfortable showing up, having conversations with the person when they pick you up at the airport, when they drive you to headquarters, when you sign all the posters, when you do your scheduled weigh-in, when you know where you're supposed to go, when you check into the hotel, there's someone walking you and taking you to all these places. You get to know those people, and they all work with the production side. They're all basically handling you all the way throughout the week, and they're checking in on you. Hey, is everything okay? Hey, you have to be here for this. You have to be here for that. Like, you get to know the photographer who does the photo shoots. You get to know the person that does the interview, the one that you show right before you walk out. You get to know it's the same person every time. Nothing changes. It's, unless someone died on that side of the family. Just remember the girl Susie, she did the makeup. She did the makeup for the UFC for years. Like, people, there was a huge deal when she passed. And when she passed, like, they talked about her, that people, like, she worked for the UFC for years. She did my makeup.
It's always the people grinding through the day-to-day that build the actual culture and experience. It's like that in any workplace. It's not the general manager. It's the people
but when you go to those other workplaces, right, you're not getting punched in the face.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean? Like, there's not
different environment.
Sure, there's pressure to deliver your speech at work or your presentation. This is like you're literally going out there and in front of millions of people and get punched in the fucking face and potentially get knocked out, potentially get submitted, potentially people going, I fucking knew you were shitty. Look, all those things aside, no, these fighters are not shitty. These fighters are extremely good. Most of the time, though, you get these fighters coming over, the Michael Chandlers, at 34, 35 years old, kind of just
had a good debut.
He had a good debut. And then he also fought killers. I'm going to give him that. As much as you guys know, I don't like Michael Chandler, but he did fight Killers Row. Justin Gaethje, Charles Oliveira, Dustin Poirier. Let's not like pretend like those guys are not good. And in every moment of every single one of those fights, he had him in trouble. I mean, not the Gaethje fight. He never had Gaethje in trouble, I don't think.
I don't remember. But he doesn't even try to win. He just goes out there.
He just tries to be entertaining. He went out there, cashed his checks, did his thing. But in this last fight with Patty, he's not even close to the same guy. He's taken too much damage in the last 4 or 5 fights. That being
a national champion or an all-American wrestler that's getting wrestled by a Brit. Like, what the hell's happening here? What is happening?
But for every time some of those guys, we had plenty of guys that came over from the UFC to Bellator. They didn't do well. Roy McDonald was the only one that did really well over there. You know, he won the title
for a
and then he
little bit.
turned around and lost the title. And he had a fucking knockdown, drag
Ryan
out
Bader.
fight. Yeah, Ryan Bader. You are correct. But look,
So
I get into the heavyweight situation where heavyweights were weak over there because UFC had all the heavyweights. You know, and he fought at heavyweight. Like UFC just took all the heavyweights from Strikeforce because Strikeforce had a way better group of heavyweights. Like Kane was their guy. You know, you had Junior and you had Brock and those guys, but that was all they had. She had Shane Carwin. They had 4 guys. Whereas Strikeforce had Alistair Overeem, Fedor. You had, DC. You had a good Bigfoot Silva. You had a huge group. There was way more than that, by the way. Alistair Overeem. Like you had a huge group of fighters in the heavyweight division. 205 was, you had some good fighters that came over from Strikeforce over there, but
Strikeforce was little or big, nothing great in the middle, little or big.
I felt like the middleweights were good. The heavyweights were good. I didn't think 205 was great. I thought 70s was starting to shape up. We had Nate Marquardt. We had Tyron Woodley. We had Robbie Lawler.
Who was that nasty kickboxer that Robbie Lawler knocked out after getting
man, I hate his name.
So fast.
Yeah. Gosh, what was his name? Yeah, nasty kickboxer. Yeah. Extremely nasty kickboxer. Yeah.
So
he was from Holland. I just can't remember his name.
If I go back a minute or two here, you're talking about the people that make it feel like home and family and all that. Mm-hmm. So if I'm gonna mansplain this, basically what you're saying is showing up into a new organization is the circumstances there. Plus you're fighting at a different level. Plus the bright light, like all of these circumstances, maybe these guys don't have the best performance. Is that the notion here? It's not that their skill isn't quite there and it's more just the octagon jitters, if you will.
Look, and I'll say the same thing. Let's go back in reverse. Let's go back in time. Chuck Liddell went to Pride. How'd that work? And Chuck's one of my best friends.
And I was a big, at that point, I've been a huge fan of all MMA forever. I've seen it all. Mm-hmm. In the early 90s, my cousins had a D-Scrambler box. Remember back in the day?
That little black box, D-Scrambler?
Yeah, they had a black box, correct. Yeah. So I'd watch it at their house in Queens, and we would do all that. And then Pride came out, and I became, a fan of Pride. And I, in my head, had this, the good old days of MMA where there was a rivalry between the UFC and Pride. Who had the better fighters? And back then, Chuck Liddell did fight over there. Like, they allowed some back and forth. So I was always rooting for the UFC guys to be like, oh, UFC is better than Pride, see? And then, Chuck Liddell got fucked up. And then, then I'm rooting for Shogun because it's like, all right, well, Shogun beat Chuck. So if Shogun wins this, then, or Chuck beats Shogun. And if Shogun... And you just end up in that whole world. And that era of MMA, to me, was the best era of MMA because there is competition.
Yeah.
There's not competition anymore.
No.
At all. PFL is not competition. You don't know when it's on. You don't know who's in it. They've scooped up every good Russian wrestler that's not in the UFC, which is great for them. They're not the most marketable guys in the world. And anybody that has any sort of semblance of a name and marketability, like Aaron Pico, like MVP, like Pitbull, he's the only one of them that's actually like past his prime, but like him, the UFC scoops him up, and in their debuts, only MVP did well. The rest of them just didn't have a good debut.
No, I would agree.
And MVP's old.
Yeah, RDR didn't look bad.
I didn't include him in that bunch, but yes, RDR because he came from one UFC.
Kayla Harrison proved me wrong, man. I thought Holly Holm would give her a hard time, and
shit out of Holly Holm.
Beat her bad. Beat her bad. MVP, to me, I'd seen the MVP that normally looks fantastic. I don't think his debut was great. You can see a little bit of the jitters out there. He moves well.
Smoked Kevin Holland.
He smoked him, but he didn't look great. I've seen him look a lot better. I've seen him fight for 7-8 years in a row, calling his fights cage side. Interviewed him in the back, interviewed him inside the cage. Like, I know how good he is. I know how good he was, and he is getting a little bit older. But to say that the fighters that are in other organizations suck is ridiculous. And you saw the jitters from Chuck Liddell when he went to Pride, and you saw it there. He was struggling with Alistair Overeem, and then he caught him with the overhand right. Chuck is one of my best friends in this whole sport, right? We've been friends for a long time, 99, 2000, sometime around there. Great guy, fantastic guy. Just look, anytime you go from one promotion to another, it hurts. It sucks. It's horrible to deal with that experience. Think about all the guys that came over, right? Vitor Belfort left and then came back. And then, he had those guys.
Rampage did.
Rampage didn't have a great fight when he first came into the UFC from Pride. Every time a Pride guy came over, their first fight wasn't spectacular. it looked a little stale. It just, it just wasn't the same. And the same thing when Chuck went over there. It just wasn't the same. And anytime you've seen fighters, Ease Edwards left the UFC and went over to Fried to fight in this in the lightweight tournament right after they shut the lightweight division down. And Ease had just beat me. I was the number 1 guy in the world. He was the number 2 guy in the world. Hermes Franker was number 3 in the world at the time in the lightweight division. He went over there, didn't have a great fight, didn't look good, and I had trained with him, helping him get ready for that fight after we had just fought. And he just didn't look good. It has to do with a new promotion, new vibe, new feel. And it's, to me, I feel like it's more difficult being an American fighter going over and fighting in Japan in a Pride situation or a Rising situation, because the crowd is quiet. It's like fighting.
It's like fighting in the Apex. Yeah.
Like taking a look around and going, there's 50,000 people here. That's what's freaky, is like, you can hear a fucking pin drop, but there's 30, 40, 50,000 people in the arena. And they only make noise when you do something. So there's adjustments to be made. Like, one of the things that people, that fans don't notice because they're not inside the arena, unless you've been in the arena plenty of times. Yeah. How loud is it in the arena between fights? It's ridiculously loud.
Yeah.
It's ridiculously loud. And so that whole thing, when you're in the back warming up, it's just, you're constantly getting that adrenaline going. That's why most guys are listening with ear pods in the back, so they don't hear the crowd go crazy. They don't hear the stomping of the feet on the fucking, on the ground outside, people cheering and the whole, and clapping and people yelling. They want to drown all that out, so the adrenaline dump doesn't happen to them. There's so many things to include into this conversation. It's not just, hey, the fighter came over and sucks. But how come we don't give credit to the fighters that left from other organizations and came in and had success? From RDR to Kayla to MVP to Umar Nurmagomedov.
I think it's because they're all favorites. I think every single one of these outside the UFC signings that comes to fights in the UFC, broad statement, is basically a favorite. So when they win, they were supposed to. When they lose, it's like, you bum loser. What I will say, so if we are going to do the quick betting spin on it, because that's where a lot of the anger came from towards Aaron Pico, maybe we do need to be done with the days of these 2-1 UFC debuts from outside organizations. Like, maybe it is like, hey, I get it. Maybe skill-wise, like if we look at Lerone Murphy and Aaron Pico, he's a phenomenal wrestler. We saw that. He out-wrestled Lerone Murphy. He's a very good striker. He had success in the striking as well. He ate that elbow, but maybe it is like, hey, in the actual debut fight, we got to leave it alone. Let's look at Pitbull. Pitbull Yair, they gave him a tough matchup. He didn't win that fight. Next fight out, he was able to get it done. So maybe it is more of a look at these circumstances for what they are. This is a good fighter, but I'm worried about new organization, new this, new that, different level, all of the other things. We have to ignore it, and their second fight might be different. If I go back to Eddie Alvarez came into UFC, lost to Cowboy Cerrone.
Yep.
He was supposed to beat Cowboy. That was a setup fight to make Eddie look good. Cowboy beats him, and that's not like, oh, Bellator sucks, end of that guy's career. He went on to become the lightweight champion of the world. So it is like weird circumstances. To your point, maybe it's less about the actual skill set, less about the level of competition in the organization that they're from, and more about just the level of production. Because I know you mentioned you feel like you're at home, because I managed fighters for a while. I did a lot of Bellator stuff. I was based out of Connecticut. They came to Connecticut 3-4 times a year, whatever it was. I did a lot of Bellator stuff. You get to learn all the people and their names, and Ryan and Ian and everybody that you work with, and you appreciate them. And it does feel like, oh, this is going to be nice. But even if we ignore that family aspect, the production's not the same. The fan base is not the same. If you go to a PFL show, I've never been to a PFL show, but if you go to, I went to World Series of Fighting when Nick Newell fought Justin Gaethje, illegal knee, by the way. if we're going back to that, illegal knee by Justin Gaethje, but okay, fine. If you go to the World Series of Fighting or Bellator shows back in the day, maybe PFL now, it's not a lot of just true, I love this sport fans. It's literally family, friends, training partners, people who know the actual fighters, which does create a different atmosphere. It doesn't have the magnitude of like, oh shit, there are 30,000 people, 15,000 people, 20,000 people here just to watch the fight.
Yeah.
They're here for a specific person. And maybe it is that other factor of just how huge this event is. That's just like, it's too much. It's too much in the moment.
That might be a possibility, but like I've seen a lot of these fighters go over. You know, I mean, like I'll give you an example, right? Patchy Pitbull went over, did really well in the tournament, lost to the Ryzen champ, lost to him in the finals, I believe is what it was.
Oh yeah, because they did a verse, right?
Yes, they did a verse. Yep. And then Patchy was in the finals. He was in the finals, and then Patchy lost in the finals. Patricio goes over there, decides like last minute, the week of, to take a fight, you know, and ends up getting knocked out. Like, but then it was a different scenario. Difference it like you're fighting in front of, you know, we were there in the arena covering the fights. It's 50,000, or sorry, it's 25.
But that's my point.
25,000 people.
Went
It's
from like
quiet,
small.
foggy to it's net, but it's not small. Like, because the Bellator fights, when we did the arena in France, you know, it was 12,000, 13,000. Then also too, every time
Sold
we did
out?
Yeah, sold out. Chicago,
Okay.
sold out. Every time we were in Chicago, pretty much every time was sold out. 9,000, 10,000 people at that arena. You know, there was venues that we just hid in. You
Yeah.
know, there was, I mean, we went to, because of COVID, we went too many times to Connecticut, but that was like our home base, like our bubble.
Okay, well, that's a fucking
You know,
great state with pizza, sandwiches, personalities. Connecticut's a great state. Great
You
state.
fucking say so. Oh, okay. Just we went there so many times. It just ended up sort of dwindling down. We started off with, you know, anywhere between say 9 to 10,000 people in the arena, and then it dwindled down to like 4 or
Well,
5.
and that business was use the undercard to sell the tickets.
Yeah.
So, you know, when there's only so many times you can do that. Like fighters can only sell a certain amount of tickets over and over and over again.
Yeah,
So
but I recall doing a couple Bellator events in San Jose, and we were selling anywhere between 14 to 15. I wasn't sold out because that arena seats 19.5, 19.8, somewhere in there. Big arena. It's a hockey arena. But yeah, anyways, let's get off track here. There's plenty of fighters though that come over from other organizations. Did you not give DC credit? Did you not give Luke Rockhold credit to become champion? Robbie Lawler, who was let go and then brought back within the buyout. It wasn't like they were trying to bring Robbie back. He literally came over in the buyout.
Yeah.
He became champion. You know, Tyron Woodley became champion. Yoel Romero came from there. There was other guys along that line. You know, Alistair Overeem came over. I'm not going to include the heavyweights because there's literally there was no heavyweights in the UFC. There was 3 or 4. That was it. Yeah. They brought the heavy. I honestly believe they bought Strikeforce to get rid of their number one contender was the first thing. Second thing is because they had no fucking heavyweights. And they're like, they have
the number one contender.
What's that? They're number one. No, they're number one competition. They're number one.
I thought you meant like the heavyweight contender.
No,
I got you.
No, they also, I think, believed that they were going to get Fedor, and Fedor was like, nah, I'm good. Never went.
Who's that?
Yeah. Okay. Look, I did a poll. Everybody, look, I think I ended up winning the poll. More people know Fedor than John Jones. It's like
Josh and I have had a debate.
It was like 68%. But then again, I was on my social media that I did the poll, and that just means
you're old if they already know you. Yeah, if they already know you. Yeah, no. I'm young and cool.
What are you
I'm young, cool, fast, tall, handsome, funny. I need to pull that audience.
Angelo, did you tell everyone like 2 weeks ago I took you down? Did you tell everyone the truth?
The fuck out of here. In warm-ups? In drills? Warm-up drills?
No, I was having to hold you up because you couldn't stop.
Warm-up drills?
Eric was there. God. Eric was there. He was just laughing. He's like, bro, that's 2 takedown. 2 takedown.
Warm-up drills. We're counting
I even brought you out in front of everyone to give you the whole, hey,
this wasn't even a live warm-up. It was drills.
I did say you couldn't do a live warm up. You were so exhausted.
I honestly don't warm up.
That's
it. Let's just go.
After the wrestling warm ups, you were breathing so heavy. I'm surprised, to be honest, you got through the whole workout. I thought you'd.
I did get through 2 fucking hours, and I got through it.
You did,
and I told you, I woke up. First of all, you watched me drink 9 Modelo's or 11 Modelo's, whatever the hell it was.
You. It wasn't like I didn't drink either. I was drinking alongside you.
And then the next morning, I genuinely was like, I hope Josh forgets that he asked me to go train. And so then I walked the dog for I just wander for 9, 10, 11 miles. And then you're like, I'm picking you up. I was like, yeah. And it's the bathrobe. I hate the bathrobe. Take me out of that stupid ass bathrobe. Very different experience. I promise you.
Okay. I'll believe it. I'll believe it when I see it. You have to
do a different sport. It's a different sport.
Okay. Look, everyone thinks because I fought for all the other organizations that I'm one of those guys like, No, they don't suck. They don't suck. Now some are getting a little older. Some of them are getting a little older, and some are sometimes not ready. You know, some of them look Dakota Disheva right now. There's talks that she was, being offered in a trade for another fighter. I won't mention his name. Marab.
They were gonna trade
Marab for Dakota.
How long ago? Not when he was champ.
It was two fights before. It was literally 2 fights before he became champion.
Holy shit!
They were trying to trade him. So that's a big deal. So now look, she just resigned. She's excited about fighting there right now, and I think she'll eventually make her way over. But
they pay. They like get your money. They pay.
Oh yeah, they pay. They pay. And then she's gonna fight Liz Carmouche coming up because Liz just won the title.
And good for her. She's 49 and continues to do it. It's crazy.
Yeah, crazy, right?
It's crazy that she's doing that.
But like I said, a lot of these fighters why don't we give the same? It's so funny when fighters leave the UFC, they don't all leave just because they suck or this or that. Some of them choose to leave. Yep. Some are just like, yeah, I can get more money somewhere else. Like Rory McDonald literally just left. It wasn't because he couldn't become champion. He could have kept fighting for the title. He just was like, all right, well, I'm going to go over to Bellator. They're offering me basically double the pay. So I'm going to take that. And I'm going to enter in this tournament where if I win this
lesser competition on average.
Yeah, exactly. So he went out there, was able to fight Douglas Lima, got the win in a great scrap back and forth. Then they turn around and they fight in the welterweight World Grand Prix tournament, and Lima beats him, bests him in that fight. So it's just fighters that have left the UFC haven't had success going other places, and fighters that have gone from one promotion, PFL, Ryzen, whatever it is, to the UFC, have not all of them have had success either. It's very difficult. I think what happened with me, my return fight with the Nate Diaz fight, was it already felt like home. I was like, okay, I'm just back because I'd already been there for 3 years. Like I already knew.
That was your first fight back?
I already knew Joe Silva. Yeah, I already knew Joe Silva. I knew Dana White. I knew everyone that kind of worked in the promotion. I'd been going to the promotion quite a bit because I was cornering guys, whether it was like a Habib or whether it was John Fitch, I would go and corner them, and work. So I knew all these guys. I knew them from before when I was there, but then it kind of rekindles. I used to kind of help Anthony Johnson, Rumble Johnson. I used to help him a lot in terms of his coaching, his cornering. He trained at Kung Lee's. I would coach him. I would corner him. I would work with him. All of those things. I was the reason why he got into the UFC. I originally got him hooked up with the manager that got him in. I found him hitting mitts in some back alleyway in LA.
Who?
Anthony Rumble Johnson.
Oh, I thought you were talking Kung Lee.
No,
I watched that motherfucker on ESPN at 1 o'clock in the morning.
ESPN 2, bro. It was never ESPN 2.
Dude, what was that? Sancho or something?
Yeah,
Sancho kickboxing?
Yeah. Sancho kickboxing, yeah. My relationship with all those people that worked with the UFC, that's what made it, I think it made easier. Like Dana White's personal assistant, Donna, she runs everything, right? She's been with him from the beginning. She's the sweetest, most amazing person. Walked in the first time after, the whole combination of the whole combining of she's like, oh my God, it's great to see you. Like, it's just, that feels like home. Yeah. I knew everyone there. So there was no jitters for me that first fight. A lot of these other guys, you can see in their performances those first couple of fights in Strikeforce when they joined UFC. It wasn't great.
If we specifically talk about Aaron Pico quickly, he did look a little nervous. I'm not deep enough in the Aaron Pico world to know if that's just his face, or did he look a little more like high strung and nervous than he normally is?
He looked a little more nervous. He looked a bit more nervous. Yeah, you have to understand though too. He came over. They had the right to match. They made sure the contract was written in a certain way. They did a lot of things
to get
Aaron Pico.
Tons of pressure
because tons of pressure on him. The contract is like, look, you do this, this, and this. There's bonuses, and I'm sure all this stuff is cooked into his contract. But they had to bend some things and do some things they knew the PFL couldn't do to get him. So they wanted
like they don't do pay-per-view, so we got to do something pay-per-view related.
And they wanted him, so they bent over backwards to get him. They wanted him to win.
Then why not give him a reasonable matchup? That's a tough ass matchup. Undefeated, I
felt like the Evloff fight was a perfect matchup for him. Evloev was not throwing that spinning back elbow. No fucking
No, it would have
way.
come down to the wrestling, and
It would
Pico's
have came down to the
wrestling
wrestling and the
good.
boxing. The wrestling and the boxing is what it would have came down to. And I think that's why everyone called me a lunatic. They're like, you're so stupid. Evloev would smoke him. He would do this. He would do that. No.
I mean, Aljamain was scramble for scramble with Evloev.
Yeah. Look, Aljamain's a great wrestler, great grappler.
Yeah, but like
fantastic.
Evloev is supposed to be like a Russian savage.
Yeah. So with Aaron Pico, I think he would have been able to sprawl and brawl, kept himself out of position. And in the boxing, for sure, the better boxer. Hands down, the better boxer. And people thought I was crazy by saying that. I just said with Lerone Murphy, it's a lot more dangerous of a fight.
He's more
I didn't like that fight. I didn't like, not for your first fight in, 16-0. This guy, this is his home. He's getting a big, he gets to fight now. Aaron Pico, the new guy, who he knows the jitters are on. He knows that this is my place. This is where I've been. I'm 16-0, and one draw, whatever it is. Like he knows this is my place. I'm on the co-main event before one of the biggest pay-per-views of the year. He feels like he's at home. Nothing to prove. Just got to beat you. That's all I got to do. Great performance. I get a title shot. A lot on the line for both of them. I say that. Absolutely. A little bit more pressure on Pico. New contract, new home, conversations with Dana White. Like those are all in there. It's, you're thinking like my relationship with Dana. Is there a relationship anymore? Like you start wondering, is he going to pick up my call now? That I lost. Those are all things that go through fighters' minds. It's not just like, oh, I lost, I'll be back. Nah. Your relationship with the matchmakers, your relationship with Dana White, whatever it is, it just feels like it's tainted a tiny bit now.
So a complete topic pivot, and maybe this is its own video, but very quickly, you mentioned it's on his mind, right? I just lost. Do they hate me now? Valid thing to think, right? Like in any other career, you think that. You fuck up at work, you're like, oh my God, am I in trouble? So valid thing to think, right? I just got knocked out. They paid me all this money. Do they hate me now? Does Dana actually care? Let's say the Pico situation specifically, right? In some fights, there's an outcome they very clearly want. In this one, I don't know if they very clearly wanted Pico to win. It didn't feel like they wanted him, like, hey, we need this kid to win. They didn't give him an easy matchup. They gave him a tough-ass fight. Are they more like, hey, you went out there, you got after it, it was fun for a few minutes, you got knocked out, as far as I'm concerned, you were worth the money. That was entertaining. We'll build you back up. Don't worry about it. Or is it like, no, dude, I pay you too much to get knocked out by a spinning back elbow?
No. I mean, he was doing his job and just got clipped. Great job by Lerone Murphy on the step around.
No, but not your opinion. What do you think? Like the UFC's opinion is of that. Is that what you're saying, or this is
no? My opinion of the UFC, what they think of this situation is shit happened.
Did they watch it like, oh Jesus, dude, or they're like, dude?
No,
hey.
they want him. They want him. They paid him a lot of money. I believe that they bent over backwards to make sure they got him. He's 29 years old. This ain't boxing. Like if I was a boxing promoter, I'd be like, fuck, his whole career's over. He's got a lot.
Yeah.
This ain't boxing. Give it up. I mean, some of the best and the ones that are in the Hall of Fame and legends are
500 records.
500 records. What are we talking about? Right? Like BJ Penn, Randy Couture, like these guys are legends in the sport, basically 500 records. But they still, every time I would tune in to watch them, right? That's what's great about this sport. Aaron Pico's 28, 29 years old. He's got plenty of life ahead of him. I mean, realistically, he just needs to make some adjustments and some tweaks. And I think it's going to be a lot easier for him now after this fight. Brandon Gibson's a really great coach. They're at Greg Jackson's, who's basically his side-by-side, his homie that works with him nonstop. Great performance. He just got to make a couple little tweaks. These guys are going to be crafty. These new guys coming up, they're just different fighters. Lerone Murphy is crafty. Like I said, it really comes down to styles. This was not a good style for him. I said it for weeks leading up to it. As soon as they announced this fight, this is the style fight that I didn't like for him. I didn't like it at all. I felt the same way about Yair and Patricio. And I felt, who else was the other one? Patchy. I thought, though, in the Patchy fight, I thought that was a stylistic. I thought it was a great matchup for him. Thought it was a fantastic matchup. Doesn't matter what I thought because you didn't shoot. You didn't shoot one takedown.
Yeah, very different issue. Yeah, exactly. Pico fought his fight and tried to win, and he ate a big one. Patchy marched forward and thought he was a professional boxer. It's like, dude, what is happening?
Yeah, this
isn't you. What are you doing? Shoot a takedown.
No idea.
And then he did one time, and it was way too late. So just different. But what's that? Is that what you were saying? Just frozen by the moment? Like this is also short notice. Mario Batista doesn't suck. Also on a pay-per-view. Is that the moment preventing the fighter from doing what he's supposed to do? Or is that, hey, yeah, you've been cleaning house in Bellator. Those fighters are not as good as us. So good luck over here.
No, Batista was the stylistic, like a great matchup for him, and he just didn't perform. And he took the fight on short notice, and it showed. I've seen him underestimate his opponents before when he fought Juan Archuleta. His one loss before that was to Juan Archuleta, and he underperformed and he went back to the drawing board, came back a lot better, became the Bantamweight World Grand Prix champion in Bellator, and performed wonderfully. There's another little caveat to this though, is the UFC pays you a lot of money. Like, to get you from another organization, they pay a lot of money. There's a lot of pressure on you. And so when you say, oh man, you gave him quite possibly the worst matchup. Look, dude, for what I'm paying you, it doesn't matter who I put in front of you. You chose to sign that contract for that money. That's where I have to go with this too. You took the money. When you sign on that line, the contract, you have that relationship with the UFC now. Like, when I call, you pick up.
Yeah, you're not going to get paid like a top 10 fighter in the UFC and then not fight top 10 opponents.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, they didn't want to pay me like a top 10 fighter after I lost to Tony. I was ranked number 12 or something like that. I was like, no, I'm going to make a run back. And they were like, we don't want to pay you like a top 10 fighter. I was like, all right, cool. Bellator will. I'm out. And I was always married to the money. That was me.
Well, I mean, that's the whole point.
That's the whole point, correct? You're an entertainer.
It's a job. Yeah, that's the whole point.
You're an entertainer. You have to remember that this is what it is. Like, their job is to do the best they can for their company. My job is to do the best I can for my brand and me. And that's what it comes down to. So Aaron Pico decided, in which I warrant. I believe that he could be a future champion. I think he's got all the tools. He's got to have to make a couple little adjustments here and there. Patchy Mix. He's got his work cut out for him, not only based on the fact that he didn't look great his first fight, but there's a lot more to it. Stylistically, he's phenomenal on the ground.
He's closer to one-dimensional.
He's also a little more one-dimensional. Makes it very difficult. He's not a super fast guy. He's got to be more aggressive on getting these takedowns. He's got to be more aggressive in getting into the clinch. In his earlier days, he would literally just walk forward, throw punches, and then like shoot a desperation double or shoot a single, and he would actually kick and let you grab the leg, and then he would kind of pull you down and then he would do things to be crafty about it. This fight, he didn't do it. So in this next fight, we're going to see, what adjustments he's made, how much better of shape he's in. I see all these things. So Patricio, we'll see what he does with this style match. If he gets a highlight reel knockout, they may try to give him a little shove, but he's 38. I'm not expecting too much for him. RDR, I look at him. He's probably next in line for a title unless Kai Bahalo and Imavov shit the bed. Kayla Harrison, big fight with her, Amanda Nunes. I don't think we'll ever see her again unless they decide to bring Chris Cyborg in for one last fight, which I think that bridge has been burned. I think it's just going to be Amanda Nunes and Kayla Harrison, and they'll use Kayla Harrison as as basically like a human walking platform for them to like advertise. Like, she is she's 2-time Olympic gold medalist, like just multiple time world champ, beat the GOAT. There's so many things they could do with her. MVP, 38 years old. What do you do with him? You put him against someone like an Izzy or Strickland. Umar, I'm not going to get into Umar, but Umar's right there. You know what I mean? But all these other guys, there's fights to be had there. They've got things that as they get more fights, they'll get more comfortable, and you'll see better performances out of them, especially the younger ones.
Yeah, it's been an interesting streak for the outside of the UFC crew. Let us know what you guys think. Are you in camp? All of these other fighters suck. Are you in camp? The circumstances make the outcome, and these circumstances have been great. I am Angelo. That is John Thompson. Thank you for watching another episode of Bad Takes.